It's Monday, May 24th. Ladies and gentlemen, we now live in a post-Lost world, and I don't know how I feel about that. You're listening to Behind the Screen Door, the Screen.com podcast about movies, TV, but today, primarily Lost. Everyone say hello real quick.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Rory, you're not...
I am. I said hi.
I didn't hear you say hi.
You weren't listening very well.
I'm listening to everyone right now. It's all in my headphones. I can hear everyone. You were willfully
a
ignoring
lot of
me.
people. I definitely said hi.
All right.
He's playing mind games with you, man.
Matthew, Rory, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Tired.
How do you feel?
Monday.
How does post Lost World feel to you?
Feels fine.
You feel all right about it?
Yeah, I feel great.
Lopez?
Oh, it's like a burden has been lifted off my shoulders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a job perhaps has been taken from you that you no longer have a responsibility.
That's right.
Okay. Joining us this week as a special guest and entirely massive Lost nerd, Norman Chan, Tested.com.
Hello. I'm very special.
You're very, very special. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing okay.
Welcome to the welcome to the Screen Podcast.
Thank you.
Feel all right?
Yeah. We'll get into that.
We'll get into that. So, event television, people. Lost, last episode, The End, which is as creative a name of episodes I've ever seen. 2.5 hours of not a lot of answering, but
amazing
a whole lot of
Target commercials.
A whole lot of drama.
Target commercials are the best part.
Yeah, there were a lot of Target commercials, which I don't know, I could have kind of done without, frankly. Also, a lot of weird ads for that Crystal Castles album, which was sort of creepy.
Yeah, they would play it once, and you'd be like, what is that? And then they played it again just so you could re-listen to the music.
I was not aware that Crystal Castles label had that kind of marketing scratch, but
it might have been a local thing.
Yeah, I didn't even see those, I don't think.
Perhaps. So, let's just start sharing some thoughts. Let's just throw it out there, Bebop style. Norm, how did you feel about the episode?
Do you want to talk about exactly? There's a lot of controversy about what happened. I think.
Well, let's preface this by saying we're going to spoil the entire.
Yeah.
fucking
Yes,
thing,
if you have not seen the finale episode yet, you should just skip through the next 45 minutes of this podcast, because that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about. So
why don't we explain what happened so there's no confusion?
Okay.
Because I in forums last night.
Yeah, because there's nothing confusing at all about last night's episode.
I think it was
wrapped
really
everything up.
clear exactly what the producers wanted.
Yeah.
So
So basically,
entire sixth season.
yeah.
The flash sideways, which they led us to believe, end of season 5, the bomb went off, and they thought it was a parallel universe, right? That's what they led us to believe. And it was the long con at the very end. No, they converge in that the parallel universe was, let's just call it purgatory, or a place for them to reconcile after their deaths.
Yes. So basically, as far as I can tell, even though some of the characters, by the end of the episode had not actually died,
Yes.
time and space do not exactly exist in
which
this
for
place.
me answered a lot of temporal questions I had.
Yeah.
Trying to piece together the physics of a parallel universe.
I'd be curious to see if Tested.com, what kind of process you would go through to test a parallel universe purgatory like this, to see if it actually holds up.
We need an atomic bomb.
I can get you one.
And,
you want to talk about? I can get you an atomic
magnets.
bomb.
We love magnets. A big
Lots of
magnet.
How do they work
Yeah.
again?
It's magic.
Oh, okay.
Fucking magic, man. So yeah, that was the big reveal, is that the flash sideways was not so much a flash sideways as it was a flash deadways. And
I thought it was effing stupid. I thought that was really, really dumb, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was sweet to see all those characters come back and have their moment.
Their
The son,
moment closure.
Juliet, especially. But apart from that, it was just okay.
Okay, let's go into. There are a couple of reasons why it could be stupid. There's the idea, there's the execution, there's it spanning over the season where it is relative to last season, so a lot of reasons.
I felt that it was stupid because the rumor about the island, that it was hell for a long time, it had been going around, and I thought it was kind of an in-jokey way to spin, because they didn't have
Because the island wasn't hell.
And
the island is not hell.
Right, so they were right every time they said, the island is not purgatory, they were right, but in the end, they still use that idea to tell their story.
But it felt like a very artificial way to have flash. They couldn't do flash forwards, they couldn't do flashbacks, because we've kind of mined all those archives, and they felt like they needed to do something new, and then it just became the most facile way to explain away the flash sideways.
Well, okay, season 5 was science fiction. It was the show unabashedly saying we are science fiction.
Yeah,
right?
all that time traveling
Time
nonsense
traveling,
like that.
parallel, talk about...
Incidentally, some of the best use of time travel in like a serialized TV show I've ever encountered.
And very heady, and you had to really rewatch episodes to wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
But the show has never just been about science. There have been, it's been the science versus, faith, but at the end, I think a lot of people were unhappy with how blatantly spiritual it was.
Yeah, but the thing of it is that there, like, as sci-fi as it like to purport itself to be, you're dealing with a bunch of white light. Like that's the whole thing. And anytime you're sitting in a situation where like you're basically dealing with magic energy, even if it is like electromagnetic or whatever else, there's gonna be some kind of like spiritual element to it. It's
sure,
like,
no, and I'm not against that.
If you've got characters that are living forever for no explicable reason, and
exactly, which is why I think at least some people they wanted like a scientific explanation for the island, and I don't think no matter what, we got the answers episode with the episode everyone hated. Right.
Yeah,
the Jacob episode, right? The Man in Black.
That also raised more questions, like who was the Allison Janney character?
It's turtles all the way down, right?
Yeah,
like no matter what explanation you give, whether it's aliens or spiritual science, there are going to be more questions after that.
Yeah,
so,
the real thing is that like they're short of them literally, like Carlton Cuse and Damon Lindelof literally just standing in front of a podium and giving like a thesis of okay, this is how all this works.
Yep.
There's no way they can incorporate that into the fiction and still keep it compelling as a dramatic series.
So in that regard, I think I was okay with the direction that they went.
Yeah.
In that they obviously made a choice that the finale was going to be about closure. And was going to be about characters,
catharsis,
and the culmination of the redemption.
Yeah.
But the problem I had with the finale was the execution of the Sideways universe and a lot of the plot holes and writing continuity holes.
It did rush itself together in a pretty significant way. Like now here's what I'll say positive about that, about the Flash Sideways stuff and just the way it all went, was that there were so many moments during that I literally just like started going, oh my god, yes. I was so happy to see.
Service, right?
Yeah, like I was so happy to see. Actually, when Rose and Bernard first came on screen, that was the first time I like leapt up from the couch and I was like, yes, okay, all right, I'm bored with the direction this is going in. And then like the thing with Saeed and Shannon was nice, but at the same time it felt a little off considering he'd spent the entire season pining for the Nadia. So. Still, great to see it. Great. Like it was just there were so many little good moments of convergence between all these different characters that just put a big dumb grin on my face.
It was emotional, and it was very cathartic for the viewer.
Yeah,
and even though people died in the show, and again, like people, I read a critique that before we realized it was all. Purgatory or whatever we want to call it, that said the Sideways universe negated the impact of the deaths because you could see Sun and Jin die one episode, but you'd see them in the Sideways universe and they'd be alive. This made it their deaths still have meaning, because when they died, that was the end of their life. Their child.
Right. It's they aren't just living happily ever after in like a real world. They're actually they're dead. Sun and Jin are totally dead, which is which I still. We'll get to that in a second. But anyway, so that was my thing, was that like I got a lot of really nice, awesome like event TV moments of this is awesome stuff. I really like. And
as television, as network television, certainly one of the finer finales. Expectations aside and hype aside,
it felt like fan service that just couldn't. In my opinion, it felt like a lot of fan service that couldn't really live up to what they had set.
I don't think any finale
literally
would have lived up to.
Oh, that's very true, but I think especially the Purgatory stuff was, let's see Saeed and Shannon kissing again and do all this kind of obligatory stuff. I would have preferred it to go out on a darker note than it did, to be honest with you.
So again, like with like a lot of people compare it to Sopranos ending, just the hype building
Hence
up to it.
Hence why the Jimmy Kimmel bit with that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I never saw Sopranos.
I think that was definitely more ambitious and more not as dramatically satisfying, but thematically it was something that was way more intricate and something you could write theses after, and it was like it was daring and risky.
Yeah.
For network television, I don't think they could have done that.
Yeah,
as risky as the show was.
I think they had to have some kind of closure, and even though it was a little hokey, it was a little bit hippy dippy with the spiritual stuff. Like, I think it tied up about as well as it could for being such an absolutely sloppy mess of just like barely tied together plot threads over the course of 6 years. I think it
was a respectful ending for obviously they didn't know where they were going the first 2 seasons.
Not at all.
I don't think they knew they were going at any time after that.
They knew. I think they knew where they were going.
I think the claims.
Well, the claim was that like around season, like basically before they wrote season 4, they were like, okay, we're going to spend the next 3 years just mapping this out so that we can tie up as much of this as we can.
And they knew they would have to end. They knew season 6 would be parallel to season 1.
Yeah,
I think they knew that last scene, and they knew Jack was going to die somehow.
And that last scene just like. I think.
See, I love the last shot.
I think
you and I disagree.
Storytelling is the lazy man's way to make your thing feel epic and meaningful. Just like ending exactly where you started it's kind of like the Dark Tower series where no spoilers, but it just feels lazy when you have that kind of like I'm gonna be in the exact same spot I woke up in the very first show and dying instead of when I'm waking up. It feels lazy.
I think it can be lazy, but I honestly, to me, like it actually felt like something meaningful, here, because the journey, the show basically
is Shepard's journey.
Yeah, it's become the journey of Jack, and like it especially in the last few episodes, they really hammered that home, and getting to see frankly, like him dying wasn't even as much a sad event as it was kind of like just a sort of like perfect closure to his journey.
I like that his journey wasn't that he was all important.
No,
he was important in that he played a role.
He was there to do a job.
Exactly, but it wasn't like that he was Jacob.
No,
he was there for an hour at most. Being Jacob,
And then he gave it to Hurley, which was great.
Yeah, and that too, that part of the closing where the plane flies off and he sees the plane, and those people will have their lives, and Hurley and Ben will have their adventures on the island.
Yeah.
That's enough of a tease to let you speculate. And that I thought was very satisfying.
I legitimately want to see a spin-off series with Ben, the Ben and Hurley like Fantasy Island style. Like
I would never
we bring
watch
people
that.
to the island. God, that would be so. God, it would be so great.
That's the thing with Lost. The mythology is bigger than the show.
Much
and
bigger.
You have to separate the mythology from the show. I think people expected all the mythology to be answered, and they say that the criticism of the finale are that because the show's over, the mythology was irrelevant because a lot of it was never addressed.
Yeah.
But no, that stands outside of the show. The show is about the group of people that, for this period of time, and how they tied into the bigger mythology of the island, especially Jack.
Yeah.
And that leaves room later on if they want to go back to the island and have, they would call it something else, but it would be part of that universe, but not be about these people.
Well, that's the thing they said over and over again in the. I don't know if anyone else besides me watched the entire 2-hour pregame show.
I did.
Yes. They said over and over again that they wanted the show to be treated as a character piece above all else. Like the mythology is there, like the mystery is there, but like they wanted the character focus to sort of be the thing people remembered, and that, very clearly the last episode was designed to focus on that versus like really getting too far into the mythology of it all.
I think they went too far the other way, especially in that last battle with Jack and Locke was just totally anticlimactic. It was so silly.
The Neo punch?
I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I kind of dug that to a certain. Like, I like the fact that Kate is the one that actually killed him.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the fact that I just thought it was kind of like a neat, like that battle had to happen. I mean, there had to be that fight scene.
Dramatically speaking, you've built up the Man in Black / Smoke Monster for 6 seasons of the show.
Yeah.
And then,
but they made him mortal, so it's like there's only so much they can actually do with him.
Right, they could have him fight a giant smoke monster.
Yeah, he's not going to fight Smoke.
I also don't just get. They were talking about him leaving the island would end all of humanity, or he'd kill everybody on the planet. Then, what?
But why?
I don't understand any of that.
So that's the bigger mythology thing too.
Yeah, and that is actually the one piece of mythology that I really wish they had addressed, because if you're going to spend that much time building up like what the consequences are of him leaving, like give us a taste of that just so we can kind of know how that's actually going to work. Like having the island like earthquake a bunch and like everybody
that's not the end of the world.
Everyone run around kind of scared.
Right.
Like that doesn't really explain why this is such a horrible detriment to the world at large if he gets away.
Well, I think that, again, going back to the Answers show where they explain that the light is all that is good,
Yeah.
And that is what imbues humanity with humanity's, humanness.
Well, yeah, they say that, like they say something to that effect, but it's like they never really explain what the light is. Like it's a MacGuffin. It's as much of a MacGuffin as anything I've ever seen, and that's fine.
And that's why I don't think we should look too much into it. And ask.
But
for
what I am asking for is that, like, if you're going to set up this incredibly badass villain, like, give us a taste of what he can actually do when unleashed. Because, like, other than seeing him kill a lot of people on the island, we don't know really why at all it would be so horrible for him to get off the island.
I don't think it's. I think the interpretation is that it's not horrible that he, as a person, get off the island, because the episode established that he and Jacob are just also characters, and pawns. They play their roles. It's so much as what happens when what he has become and what he represents is no longer on the island, or the island no longer exists to hold. The darkness.
So I don't know. I think. Again, as a piece of event television, I was overall fairly pleased with it. I had enough like moments where I started jumping up and clapping, and enough like satisfying like just like pull-togethers of various things that I felt like, okay, this is a satisfactory conclusion.
And here it is, and overall is a big important thing, because what the finale it didn't just have to bring things together. It had and be a topper for them the series. It had to allow you to rewatch not only that season, but the entire series, and make it rewatchable.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think I'm ever going to watch any season of Lost after this. It's just too much.
You're not going to buy the full
big
6-season set on August 24th on DVD and Blu-ray?
Are you kidding me? No, there's no way. Like, I'll watch.
It'll be shaped like the Hatch, probably. It'll look really cool.
I think they have pictures. It's August 24th.
I'll watch Deep Space Nine again before I watch any of this.
Wow. All right.
DS9.
Look, I like DS9, but come on, man.
I love DS9 also.
I don't think I can go through the Lost series again and have all these unanswered questions in front of your face again, and knowing that you'll never get those resolutions.
But if you had the answers,
you sound like the kind of person who doesn't really care about the kind of.
No, I care, but
not
the
mythology to stay as it is. But I want answers. I don't really care about the characters all that much, to be honest.
Really?
With you.
Wow.
Well, I'm with him. I come from a sort of solid science fiction background where there's a good info dump in almost every major sci-fi book, and at some point, if they just devoted a small portion of an episode to talking about those deeper sci-fi issues of what is the island, and just a little bit of explanation, would have been such.
But would that make the show easier to rewatch if you had the answers?
I don't care about rewatching it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
because like season 5 ended with the twist, right? And I thought the end of the season 5 made rewatching season 5 all that more interesting, because then you get to
kind of go back.
You kind of go back like, well, he is really acting a little differently, and and they played with season 5. I thought was great because they played with the viewers' expectations, and the viewers' hope, right?
Yeah.
Even though they told you so many times, if you're dead, you're dead. You can't be brought back to life. You wanted to believe that Locke was special, and you were fooled by your own belief and expectation.
Well, and so frankly, so was Terry O'Quinn, because like
yes.
he didn't know he was playing the Man in Black until like the very end of the season.
But it was in the writing too.
Yeah,
right. Where he never lied. He never said he was Locke.
Yeah,
he just said he's alive. And then with season 6, that was my. I mean, I can rewatch season 6 and rewatch LAX and think about, and also season 5 and now the paradigm in my head is not that this is an alternate universe, and realize that the bomb they went off, Miles is right. Them blowing up the bomb was what caused the event.
Yeah.
And that was the event. That was all what happened. And, going through LAX, and I'll have the criticism, like, why was the island sunk in LAX? Why did they even bother to show us that?
Yeah, that is about...
What constructed that universe? If this is all, like, their subconscious, creating this universe for them to meet together, why did we see details that we didn't really need to see?
Well, here's the thing I'll say, and actually I kind of want to talk a little bit about season 6 as a whole for a minute. I think season 3 will go down as the least watchable of the entire series, simply because the first half. I mean, the second half of season 3 gets pretty good. Season 3 is the one where they spend like half the season in prison and nothing happens.
It's the freighter.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And it's just abhorrently boring early on, but I think season 6 will go down as the most intensely frustrating for me, specifically because the whole early part of that season, they set up like way more like plot ideas and characters that are like new than they ever had any right to try and
talking
even
about
try
the
and
temple.
rep.
Temple and
The temple,
Dogen
like
and-
Dogen, like all the shit with Saeed dying and then coming back to life. Like
Whitmore's people.
like it's all so glossed over by the time the season is over.
And then
with.
none of it really matters. in the
Yeah,
end.
none of it really matters. Like, let's just, I mean, for instance, Saeed. Let's just talk about Saeed for a minute, okay?
Well, him and also that temple I thought was going to be like where they were for half the season, and then it winds up 3 episodes.
Yeah, it's 3 episodes, and it ends up being fairly meaningless. Like, they never really address what that sickness is that him and Claire supposedly have.
Yeah.
I mean, Claire's just, bitch is crazy at that point.
They're always talking about you talk to the Man in Black, and instantly as soon as he starts talking to you, you are like gone for some
you're
reason.
corrupted.
But
Right.
They never.
But they never really address that. And
Yeah.
But like, so they spend all this time building up Saeed really early on in the season. They bring him back to life. They give him this sickness thing. He's kind of goes rogue agent for Man in Black for a while. He's clearly damaged in some way, shape, or form. He has some sort of off-camera conversation with Desmond in the well, and then by the next episode, he's doing something heroic and dead. It's just
I
like
think
immediately he's just gone.
How the producers explain it is that Saeed, at all his life, he's been told whether he's good or evil, and like the Man in Black tells him he's evil, and then
Yeah.
he kills, and he's never made any decisions for himself, and choice being a big theme of the show, and then the final moment on the sub, when the castaways tell him to come with him to the sub, he's okay. I'm good again, but then the final moment he gets to make a decision to sacrifice himself, and that's his redemption.
Well, I think the bigger issue is that like the way they staged that, there's no internal conflict with that decision whatsoever. Like it's just sort of like Saeed looks at the bomb, goes, "Okay, I'll take care of this." Runs off. It's you, Jack. Boom. Like that's it. Like and that it felt like such an anticlimax.
Well, I want to think that those were thoughts percolating in his head after he talked to Desmond, because Desmond
I guess
seeded that in him.
It just the problem is that like when you're going to make that radical a shift to a character, like you need to give like just a little something more to chew on than how they did it. And I also still wasn't a big fan of, frankly, Sun and Jin dying. Like I think it was necessary for the sake of not having them carted around for the next couple of episodes, but the decision making behind it just felt sort of half-assed, because like at some point and they even talked about it on Jimmy Kimmel last night. It was like, did at no point anyone realize those two have a daughter? Like did at no point did like Sun maybe think to say, hey, go be a father to our child, stop hanging around inside the submarine for the love of God? No, that never happened. It was like they needed their poetic moment of them dying, and it felt like it was poetry for the sake of poetry. It wasn't there to like really it just wasn't logical. Then again, I guess maybe criticizing the logic of Lost is
But
something.
also, you have to realize for them, they've been apart for 3 years,
yeah,
several years, and maybe in the logic of that,
they just couldn't bear to be apart again. Well, I mean, that's what they said.
Yeah.
They couldn't bear to be apart again. But it felt, I don't know, it rang a little false to me. And that temple, the temple, man, like the thing.
I'm glad they didn't have the temple half the season.
No,
I'm glad
I
that
am
they-
too. But I just like
And they did explain. They said they needed to introduce new elements to move the story along, but they could have pulled from other elements. I mean, they could have used existing others.
But that's the thing, is like I was kind of hoping that the temple stuff, would finally kind of bring some closure to who the fuck the others are.
Yeah, that was also one of the bigger. Are they supernatural? Or are they just a tribe?
No,
Are
they're
scientists.
they're
Or-
Jacob's people.
So when Jacob,
Why do they kill so many people in the early part of the?
Because that's because I think that was Linus's direction, was that they were
Yes.
just protect the island at all costs, don't trust these
and
people.
also remember Jacob he was fairly new to meddling.
yeah,
Right, and so he's had a long period of experimenting with how he should meddle, and it could be that the others were his first attempt, right, and then the castaways he got more refined and getting them to do his bidding.
it's just I mean, my big issue is that like earlier in the show, like in the early seasons, they sort of paint the others as like, I mean, they start out obviously as these like shaggy castaways, but then it becomes very clear that like
Who can
that's a
move
ruse.
totally silent
Yeah.
and take anybody away from the camp whenever they want to without making any noise. And
But then that's obviously a ruse. Like they have a fairly technological setup,
Right.
at the old Dharma camp, and they they know what they're doing. They obviously can go off the island whenever the hell they want. They're recruiting people, like they're getting people like Juliet to come to the island. But they never really explain like what their motivations are, like where these people really come from. How is it that they're. I mean, other than to show Juliet being recruited, they don't really get into the backstory of those people like at all. They're like these just blank antagonists that just exist specifically because they need someone to occasionally shoot at the cast members.
And there's a lot of other stuff too that just like the numbers. What are they? Purpose?
They straight up said they're never going to explain the numbers. I mean, like the closest they got was the writing on the wall.
All the candidates.
Yeah, it was the numbers of the candidates. But like at the same time, they never really got into the mysticism of that.
And you know what? It's good that they ended up with Hurley being the new Jacob.
Yeah,
because the numbers tied to him. So then you can speculate how whether the bigger purpose.
Maybe he was the one that was always meant to be the thing,
right. Or subconsciously he created the numbers. So
there's definitely a lot of there was definitely a lot of stuff that like this season seemed like it was poised to fix or talk about. I'm not even talking about Walt. Like I'm willing to accept that the Walt thing was just abandoned forever ago. And as much as that kind of sucks, I get it. The dude is like 6 foot a billion right now, and like just it would not make sense to bring him back on camera. I mean, you saw it. Was it season 4 when they brought him back, like on briefly? Dude looks damn near 40, and it's just not going to work. I feel bad for Harold Perrineau. I felt bad that we didn't get to see more with him, but it was what it was. No Mr. Echo, sadly.
You should like kick down the door of that church and
just start blowing everyone down.
Michael coming back and as Spirit of Vengeance,
God, no.
Well, that was a great part of the Jimmy Kimmel thing is when Michael comes back in that first in the Survivor
bit, yeah. And having him on Kimmel actually felt like a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, the whole Kimmel interview.
The Kimmel thing was terrible.
It was terrible interview.
Terrible, and like they hyped up way too much. It wasn't the entire cast. It wasn't the reunion you wanted it to be.
No, not even close.
Yeah, it was,
but when he was talking about Michael, you could tell Harold Perrineau was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm just here. I was available. I'm here to do this interview. I haven't been on the show in years. Whatever. I did one cameo this season. Big deal." The same thing with Whitmore. The guy who played Whitmore. It was just like you could tell like he was like, I don't do interviews ever. I'm not prepared.
Send me back
for
to Australia.
Do you remember me from the OC? That was a good show.
He was from the OC.
Yeah. He also apparently is like a sort of like he's just sitcom actor in Australia.
He's the Bill Cosby of Australia.
Yeah. So good for him. I don't know. So I think me personally, just looking at everything as a whole, I felt okay about how it all ended. I think that, Lost upon reflection in the long run will go down in history as a very sloppy show that was also highly entertaining. Does anyone agree, disagree?
I don't regret watching it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It was a cultural thing. It's good to be part of it. But
it provided many memorable water cooling discussions.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think that it's tough to say exactly like how well that show will hold up. I mean, I actually started to I watched a couple of season 1 episodes while I was moving out here just to kind of refresh myself on some of that stuff. And I really do think the earlier seasons of that show will hold up far better than anything past like 3 and beyond, because I think that's just where the best tension and the best like character interaction came from.
It's kind of
weird.
Character revelations. Yeah. It's kind of like Twin Peaks, where Twin Peaks season 1 was kind of building up this huge mystery, and then they realized, oh shit, we actually got to answer some questions, and they went about it kind of half-assedly in season 2. I almost kind of wish that they didn't even really try to answer any questions on Lost. It's kind of build it up as a mystery, let it exist inside your head, just kind of cut it off early on, and just have this. What the F was that, man? Just never say anything about it again until somebody goes kill Damon and Carlton, and their will has like the backstory of everything.
Yeah,
not that I'm advocating anything, but
no, clearly not. Just to tie this all up, I mean, anyone have any personal favorite / worst moments from the entire run of the show? They just
that is such a tough call.
Penny and Desmond on the phone.
That was
highlight the entire series for me.
Yeah, Penny and Desmond. I was a little sad with how sort of underutilized Desmond was in the last episode, I have to say. Like, they built him up.
Especially since it didn't really make sense why, like, Widmore took him to the island.
Yeah.
We'll go back to the whole season 6, the arc of season 6. Widmore took him to the island as the failsafe, and why when he went through the electromagnetic generator thing was he able to go into the purgatory and realize then that he was supposed to unite them, or were those things not connected at all?
Right. Yeah, I think that no one ever had a firm grasp of exactly what Desmond was supposed to do until they had to write the final episode.
Well, technically, the very first person in the Sideways was Charlie to realize that everything was kind of off, right?
Yeah, because he
So-
almost died. Or, did not died because he can't die in death.
I don't
Yes.
know how that works.
Yeah, but he was the one who it sort of pulled together for first, so...
So all of them in their heads when they died created the universe, but in that universe they needed to awaken themselves, and they would give themselves opportunities to do so.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it sounds like they're trying to make a new religion or something like that. Like, here's the Jedi and here's the lost survivors. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a little hokey. But so Penny and Desmond
Penny
on
and
the
Desmond, and as down as I was on the ending, I think Vincent coming up at the end definitely got a little.
That made me a little weepy. I was
Little
really happy to
dusty in
see.
the room.
I realized that I think Vincent in the last few years has had way more on camera time than either Michael or Walt. So
I barely saw him at all the last few years. I don't know where he was.
he popped up from time to time.
Waiting for a meal.
Yeah,
What's that?
He's hungry.
just hanging out with. He's just hanging out with Rose and Bernard.
Were they
Who also
ever?
living on the island.
Yeah,
We know it'll be Hurley, Ben, Rose, and Bernard on the island.
There you go.
Oh,
That's-
and Desmond.
And Desmond.
they can be
Desmond,
the
yeah.
wacky neighbors.
Like, it's weird because they got Desmond out, and Jack's like, "Oh, Desmond, you gotta go back be with father," and he's just stuck on the island also.
Yeah.
So maybe he got off the island eventually. It's his curse.
Well, I thought I remembered a line where they said that going off the island was more of a Jacob rule, and not
Right.
doing that. So maybe now under
They could
Hurley's
send-
rule, they can send people off.
Yeah. And it's not like with Richard Alpert, he'd been off the island before, so even though he was on the plane, he's been on the mainland.
So, Lopez, any favorites? Any low lights of the series for you?
I'll stick with the favorites and say that the day they stopped pressing the button was probably, that episode was like the tensest thing I'd ever seen on TV.
That was great.
Yeah.
Lockdown is the name of the episode.
Okay. Thanks.
The whole Hatch story arc was I think probably the best crafted piece of fiction in that entire series. Like,
Definitely.
from them discovering the Hatch to them going into the Hatch to the episode where they stopped pressing the button. Like, the way that all came together was really phenomenal, and I kind of wish it had kept that sort of dramatic tension throughout the rest of the series. But
yeah, that's the episode. At that point, I knew that in the end, it's going to come down to Locke and Jack. They're gonna epically butt heads at some point, and that's going to be the conclusion.
And they did.
Yeah,
not exactly in the way perhaps we had expected, but
I wouldn't put epically in their eyes.
I like the fight.
That was my
sequence.
hope. Oh, I loved the flying punch.
Yeah, I totally adored
me.
I adored it.
My cable box went out in that commercial after that, and I was pissed off. It just zapped out. I had to unplug it and plug it back in. It went off again. I miss about the first 30 seconds of that ensuing fight scene.
They punched each other a bunch.
Yeah,
and then
A lot of
Jack got
helicopter
stabbed.
shots.
Yeah.
I wanted more.
All right. What about you, Norm?
Best moment, hands down, Ben killing Locke in the hotel room.
Yeah, that was definitely a real oh snap.
Yeah, Ben killing Locke suddenly in the hotel room after saving him, and that was the death of Locke.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was a legit death of Locke.
and not only that moment, but then going back and rethink about that moment after the season 5 twist.
Yeah,
and realizing he really was dead.
He was seriously dead. Yeah.
And then and then second to that, another Locke moment, the walkabout.
Yeah.
The you can't tell me what I can't do.
Exactly. I'm gonna go with actually I think one of the best earned character death in the entire series, which was Charlie.
Yes,
I'm gonna say the Not Penny's boat scene in the underwater station was just exquisitely done. Like that was as good a character death as that series ever saw. Like Nikki and Paolo, that was the most amusing character death. I didn't hate those characters as much as most people did, but it was definitely kind of satisfactory to watch them, just get fucking.
It was still good
killed.
writing for the show as a standalone.
I
Yeah.
hated Charlie. I'm not afraid to admit it.
That's fine. I like Charlie a great deal. My girlfriend at the time started bawling.
Girls
when he
love
died.
Charlie. Girls
Oh,
love
yeah.
Charlie. Like universally, he's a fucking
He's
hobbit.
he's dating Evangeline Lilly for
They're
fuck's
like
sake.
married.
They're like married. Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh,
It's great that his legs grew back after he did.
Oh,
Lord of the
totally.
Rings,
But yeah, that scene was incredibly well done. It was perfectly tense, perfectly emotional. The reaction with Claire at the end, that That was the moment.
Baby crying and yep.
That was the moment when they learned how to properly kill off a character.
I think the Man in Black should have come back as Charlie, like evil Charlie. I would have liked to see that.
Ooh.
That actually, yeah, that would have made a certain amount of
Just
twisted
fucking
sense.
Claire's head around, no away from, or he could have been, because it seems like he could have. He's taken different forms at the same time, or is he always locked into the same form?
It seems like he locks himself into a form, like when he once he was Christian Shepherd, like he was Christian Shepherd for a while. Though speaking of random moments with that, Christian Shepherd appearing on the boat when Michael died. Remember that on the freighter? It was like he was like Shepherd appeared real quickly to like say you're done, and then the boat explodes.
That was Man in Black. Michael was a pawn for the Man
I
in Black.
I thought the Man in Black wasn't supposed to be able to leave the scope of the island.
He's been on boats. He's been between the islands.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how he got on that boat to talk to Michael right before he died, and then got back.
Was that boat within the field, I guess, of a field of effect?
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess.
The other weird Man in Black moment was in one of the previews, like after the episodes, you see like the flashes from the next show.
Yeah.
One of the ones from the one on Tuesday, they showed the Man in Black as like the old Man in Black, the guy from Deadwood, holding the glass of wine and like turning it up and down, and it never showed up in the final episode.
That was actually an old episode.
Was it really?
That was an old episode.
It was the reveal. It was Jacob gives him the glass of wine and he smashes it.
Okay, I don't remember
that was from that. But yeah, I think Charlie Death. That is I'm trying to think of. I guess my least favorite moment is not so much a moment as it is like the first 6 episodes of season 3 when they're in the damn cages. Like that stuff just that almost made me stop watching. Straight up, like I was so.
You're talking about the first 6 episodes. That's when Jack has performed the operation. And,
and then it's just them sitting around in the
station.
cages and like nothing happens, and it's
They're
just
doing
like,
it. They're doing it.
I kind of didn't like season 4 all too much
You didn't like
because you knew how it would end.
Yeah,
they told you at the end of season 3 how season 4 would end.
I really liked the stuff like of them trying to convince everyone to go back to the island. Like I actually thought that stuff was pretty well done, and even though it was a foregone conclusion that yes, okay, they're going back to the friggin' island, but like I liked the way that they had to sort of like navigate around the various neuroses and sort of like insane flaws of all these characters to try and get them to converge back on that Ajira flight. I don't know. I dug that. And also Lapidus.
Lapidus, he lied, the actor, because he did a bunch of interviews after the submarine blew up.
Yeah.
And said, Lapidus is not in the finale, and Lapidus is dead. I'm bummed.
Of course he's going to say that. And that's the thing. But that's the thing. Again, if you don't see the body, they're not dead.
Yep. He said, oh, crap.
When Richard gets thrown off into the jungle, he's not
That's
dead.
right. I thought he was dead, too. I thought it was a throwaway. But
they were not going to. They would not kill Richard off like that. And I knew that they were like. Yeah, Lapidus was definitely my jump off my couch. Lapidus, Lapidus, holy shit! That was the best moment of the whole show for me.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't kill off characters that they didn't need.
Yeah,
Miles, they didn't need him, but
they kept
that
him
girl in the
around.
bandages from who Jacob talked to. She just dropped a bag of dynamite and blew up. Like, okay, goodbye.
Island was done with her, man. The island was done with her. So I think that pretty much sums up our various reactions to Lost.
Well, not so much sums up as collects, really.
It collects our thoughts. I think the amount of conflicted viewpoints that we have here pretty well mirror the conflicted viewpoints I've read on the internet thus far. There are a lot of very mixed reviews that like the AV Club loved it, but then like you go to like Gawker and they're calling it like one of the dumbest things ever, and it's just
that's because they're Gawker.
Well, yes,
it didn't really.
LA Times gave it like 1 out of 5. Like they hated it.
And it didn't do super well in the ratings. Like it did okay for Lost.
It did good. Like it was the highest rated episode in like 3 seasons. It was like over 13 million viewers, which is a good number for the end of a show, but it's definitely not as good
It's not 70 million. It's not
106 million like for MASH. Yeah, it's definitely like, okay, clearly the audience for this has fallen off more than maybe they were willing to admit.
Well, the Lost people who like Lost seem like, because we all know people who love Lost, and everybody knows at least a few people, so it seems like that should expand about, but there's like a whole group of people who just couldn't give a shit. So
yeah, I think there's also
ratings don't really matter because ABC still charged a ton of money for ads,
and
they made the most out of those ads too.
And you have to assume a lot of people were probably watching in groups. They were sitting around, all huddled around the TV, like crying together and laughing together and getting really angry at the end. But that's Lost in a nutshell. All right. Should we talk about something that isn't Lost for a little bit? I mean, this we do cover other things besides Lost, and
what did you see this weekend, Alex?
What did I see this weekend? I saw Shrek.
Oh yeah.
That was the big movie I saw this weekend.
Still Shrek.
It's still Shrek. They are still making Shrek. Well, I guess now they're not making. Now they're not making Shrek movies anymore.
It made no money.
Well, no, it made a lot of money. It made
71 million.
71 million is a pretty good opening weekend any way you look at it. But at the same time, it's 50 million less than Shrek the Third made its opening weekend. So that's
exactly.
not.
And Shrek 2 is like the number 5 movie all time.
Yeah.
In the U.S., like $440 billion.
And this is kind of what it boils down to for me with that movie is that like I really liked the first Shrek movie when I saw it. I thought it was a legitimately funny, creative movie.
Back in the days when Pixar just made everything, and that was like one of the first
DreamWorks movies. Yeah, and I thought it was actually like a legitimate contender. Like, okay, this is really cool. Second Shrek movie, fine. I enjoyed it. I think that movie gets an undue amount of shit from people. I think it's still pretty funny.
Too many pop culture references.
Yeah, too many pop culture references for sure. But like it was an able sequel. Shrek the Third, I had forgotten that I had even seen it. Like when this movie came out, I was like, oh, they're gonna it's Shrek 3D. It's like, no, this is the fourth Shrek movie. It's like, no, what are you kidding me? And I went back and I read the plot synopsis. Like, oh wait, I did see this. And yeah, Shrek the Third, fucking terrible. Absolutely terrible. Shrek Forever After, not as bad, but man, what a weak ending for that. Like, I mean, whatever. Like the well's been tapped for some time, but this it just feels like everyone's super going through the motions. Like even more so than Shrek the Third. Like it's a lot of like very lazy. Like, all right, well, what other how can we make Shrek dissatisfied this time? Okay, he's bored with family? I don't know, whatever. Let's give him a sort of, Faustian option to take a day to, go back to being an ogre and terrifying people, but there's a crazy catch and now he's never been born and it's like It's a Wonderful Life and he's got to get his life back and Fiona's a warrior princess now. What? I don't know. Fuck it. Donkey, say something funny. All right.
Kind of curious where Mike Myers goes from here because Love Guru was not well received at all.
You can say that pretty much for any live-action Mike Myers movie of the last several years.
He's only made that one, I think. It's been like 8 years since.
What was that Gwyneth Paltrow fucking stewardess movie that he was in?
View from the Top.
View from the Top. He was in that.
I've never heard of that.
It was terrible.
Christine Applegate.
Yeah, Christine Applegate and Gwyneth Paltrow, and it was god awful. Yeah, I think literally the best live action work he's done in like a decade was his turn in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah,
that was like,
and everybody cringes as soon as you see him on screen. Oh fuck!
But he was good. He was funny. He was actually funny, and it was good.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know where Mike Myers goes from here. I don't
care really, but
I don't think he cares either.
I mean, I think DreamWorks feels pretty solid that they're not going to do another one of these, and I think that the fact that that movie will make money, but it's not going to make anywhere near the kind of money that the other Shrek stuff has. So I think it's pretty solid that like they're not going to do that again.
Pretty typical of DreamWorks. They make movies not really to stand the test of time. They make movies that
well, it's
money.
different because How to Train Your Dragon was definitely made quality first. There's no fart jokes. There's no pop culture shit in that.
Yeah,
they definitely made that movie. Especially, they kind of went on, took a risk a little bit. They still wanted to make a lot of money with it,
right.
But that movie was made definitely quality first. It still has like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that.
Yeah,
it's a fine movie. It's definitely
great.
They're in a tough position because their movies make money, but they never win any Oscars.
Oh,
right.
I don't think they give a shit really.
I think they really give a shit.
Someone there does.
Katzenberg has like a grudge.
Really? Yeah, someone there
Disney.
wants very badly to out
the
Pixar.
In the DKG of DreamWorks gives a shit.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think they're still a little ways off from pulling that together,
But they're committed to like 2 movies a year now.
Yeah,
2 or 3 movies a year.
Well, so is Pixar too. Pixar's saying they're going to bump up to two years.
Oh my goodness!
Now wait, which one is DreamWorks? Is it Megamind or is it Despicable Me?
I think it's both.
They made 2 supervillain movies.
It's both. One might be Sony. They did Bolt. They did.
Yeah, Bolt was all right.
They did Cloudy with Chance Meatballs. I thought.
Yeah, Cloudy with Chance Meatballs is pretty
That's
good. Yeah,
that's on Netflix streaming. I haven't watched
those are
it yet,
totally
but I hear.
decent movies. Like if Sony wants to be like the sort of underdog third, then by all means.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so far it seems like they're doing all
I
right.
thought Bolt was just like by the numbers.
It was dumb, but
here's
it was
my animated CGI.
It was
movie.
dumb, but it was watchable. Like I actually kind of thought some of the character jokes were cute.
They come a long way from Dinosaur.
Oh yes.
So, anyways, I saw MacGruber, which bombed horribly.
yeah.
Oh
4
my
million.
God! Did it ever?
Terrible.
It only had a $10
less
million
than $10 million?
budget, but if you're opening in like 2,500 theaters, you have like a $30 million, $40 million marketing budget.
Yeah.
It made $4 million. this week.
4.1
They did like
million.
a 2K
It came
theater
in
average.
sixth.
It probably won't even make back the $10 million.
It'll make like the 10 million. I think. I
Maybe.
think it will. But
DVDs will do okay, but it's not going to make money.
well,
even
it'll come out
after.
internationally, and it'll make like a couple of million internationally.
I don't think
It's not
people
international appeal.
Yeah.
It's SNL.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It'll make a couple of $1 million. Just from the few people that are interested in that sort of thing. But
So I saw it. I thought it was decent. I didn't think it was this much of a bomb. I thought I had seen a lot of advertising for it, so I was kind of
yeah,
surprised.
it was a marketing blitzkrieg for that thing.
It was decent. It was really a lot of poop humor, a lot of like celery stuck in assholes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But-
which is great. At the same time, I kind of get the impression the studio knew this might happen because all the trailers I started seeing for that movie, like in the weeks leading up, all had hell of review quotes all over them from like when they started
When they were
showing
100%
it. Well, when they showed it at
Tomatoes.
South by Southwest, they
And
showed
then
it to a bunch of critics.
They didn't actually screen it for critics last week, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
it was like they had all these like positive review quotes on trailers coming like 3 weeks before the movie came out. Like they were trying to tell you, hey, no, this doesn't suck. Please, please come see this. And it didn't work. It didn't work.
it was a little amusing. Yeah, I don't.
A little amusing.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Saturday Night Live. I think it's been really unfunny for a long time. As far as whenever I tune in.
Well, this is supposed to be the new generation.
Yeah.
This is like the.
I like Will
Andy
Forte
Samberg.
or
funny
Forte,
generation.
whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Forte, yeah.
It's the brain trust. I mean, their movie.
And
It's just
the director was one of the
The Lonely Island.
Lonely
Yeah.
Island people.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. I think they did the right thing as far as like, okay, you can't just make this a MacGyver parody because if you do that, it's not like no one's going to give a shit. Nobody remembers what MacGyver is.
Yeah.
So
Well,
by
it
trying to turn it into something bigger,
it was
and
like Rambo 3.
More
yeah,
80s.
more of an
kind of the
80s,
whole 80s,
action
yeah,
send up
right.
versus like a straight MacGyver rip.
There's
yes,
expendables for that.
yeah. But it just, I don't know. Yeah, and at the same time, Hot Shots Part 2 already exists. So it's like, why does this movie need to exist? I don't know. I feel really bad because, like, I'm sorry, but no new movie should lose to second week runs of Just Right and Letters to Juliet. Like that is
shameful.
Ouch.
Shameful.
that is. I mean, Letters to Juliet made twice as much money in its second week as MacGruber made in its opening weekend.
I Letters to Juliet. I saw that too. It was a poor movie, but it was at least had a really good performance by Vanessa Redgrave. But
But that's not why that movie's making money.
No, it's a romantic comedy that has a strong female lead.
Yeah.
Rack.
I can say the same thing about Just Right, frankly. So it's
Two good racks on display there.
Yeah,
Good
and
racks on display.
and Queen Latifah, I like her as an actress.
Sure,
I
I
like
do
her
too.
and stuff. I've been on board with Queen Latifah since Set It Off.
She's supernatural in everything she does.
Set It Off,
Except for Taxi, right?
except for Taxi. Let's not talk about Taxi.
That's more of a Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, let's play the blame for
Blame
Jimmy
the director,
Fallon.
actually.
But yeah, it's just really sad for MacGruber, and I'm it hurts. It hurts inside to know what happened to that.
And
movie.
you know, it really doesn't have a chance this coming next couple weeks because this
No.
is when
No,
everything ramps
that was
up.
pretty much
Yeah,
it.
I mean, Prince of Persia is out this weekend.
I predict
Sex
that's
and the
gonna
City
be-
2 is out
that's
this
gonna be a big
weekend.
bomb.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia, I'm thinking
Oh, it's already got the Pete Hammond quotes on the trailers.
Yeah,
on the
I don't know.
commercials,
Like
so.
Prince of like
they're desperate. There's like no awareness. People
Well,
don't care.
it's Bruckheimer. Bruckheimer knows what people like for the most part. But
yeah,
I just-
it feels like it could very easily surprise people. Like I'm not even talking about in terms of quality. Like I have no idea how good that movie is. Like it seems like it's a lot of smirky Jake Gyllenhaal, however you pronounce his last name actually, and like Gemma Arterton just looking stately the whole time, which is apparently the only thing she knows how to do.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, if it's Ben Kingsley doing the hammy villain thing,
bring him to me.
great. Yes, great. And it's like I think
It's the Mummy. It's
yeah,
the
it looks
feels
like it could be the Mummy type thing. Like Alfred Molina, it looks like he's basically playing Salah, and that's great. Like that could be really funny. I don't
But
know.
I just think public awareness. Like I don't think people are into it.
I
And
think
he has.
well,
Bruckheimer has 2 movies coming out too.
Yeah, Sorcerer's Apprentice.
that looks
Yeah.
dour.
that looks funny bad though.
See, that looks like it's worse quality wise, but that will make more money.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'll say it for the effects.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see it because
that's the reason this country's going down the shitter right here.
I want to watch the Purdy saying things go
2012
all
gonna
explodey.
blow up the world. I don't care about anything
I like
else.
it when sand blows around real Purdy like.
It's all ones and zeros, Ma.
Parkour.
That English lady's real looking good. Yeah, anyway. But, yeah, so Prince of Persia and Texas City coming out this weekend. So, yeah, there's really not much chance
But
for
this could be
Gruber.
her break or break movie, whether she'll be in Transformers 3.
Who?
Arterton?
Yeah, Gemma Arterton.
I don't like her. I'm going to say it. Like, I didn't like her at all in Clash of the
pale.
Titans. Well, no, she's a perfectly comely young lass. She's very attractive. But as an actress, like, she's just trying to channel Judi Dench the whole time. Like, it has this very, like, I'm very prim, I'm very proper, I am delivering exposition with the utmost amount of authority because that is how my voice sounds, like, all the time.
Quantum of Solace, too.
Yeah, and she's just not interesting. Like, she's just super, like it's just that, like, very cold, stately British thing.
I'll throw out Emma Stone, who I saw in Paperman this weekend. Very attractive.
I love Emma Stone.
From Superbad, also.
Very good
Zombieland.
actress.
And Zombieland.
I didn't particularly care for her in either of those movies, at least as an actress.
I liked her, dude. No. In Zombieland, when she starts doing the Annie Potts impersonation, that right there is what sold me on her as an actress. She
barely
was
remember.
She
I
was
just remember
perfect.
her as being very cute. But in Paperman, she gives an amazing performance. The
In a
movie
not-so-great movie.
The movie is pretty shitty.
Yeah, but that looks like a Mad Libs tablet of indie quirkisms.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Paper
but
Sunshine Man. Little Miss.
it's too bad because I like Jeff Daniels, and
I've never been the biggest Jeff Daniels
I
fan.
frequently like Ryan Reynolds when he's not
I like him too. It's
not
weird.
rom-comming it, but
tights.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like
I don't mind him at all, to be honest with you. Some people get
He
really...
bugs me.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he does.
Why is he? What do you
He
find
can only
bothersome?
act one way.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, like, so do lots of actors, and I like what he does.
But the roles they put him in, it's
Sometimes it doesn't work.
inappropriate,
Sometimes it's the wrong role for him. Like
when it's the right role for him, I think it's right. Like the
Sometimes-
Just Friends, I thought it was funny in that.
Sure, and he was the soul saving grace of Blade Trinity, straight up. Like he was the only reason you.
He's
would
kind
ever
of the
watch that
snarky
movie.
dick who's really funny, and you can't help but kind of like him in the end.
Actually, I can't say that because Triple H was in that movie.
I'm preparing.
Oh, Triple
my
H
hate
was.
is preparing for disappointment for Green Lantern.
Yeah,
Channeling.
I have no expectation for Green Lantern personally because Green Lantern is not a comic that I ever gave like a rote shit about. Like
Yeah,
I just
if it's DC, I just like whatever.
yeah, like no, I mean I read a shit ton of Batman comics as a kid, but like that was the extent of my DC universe. And then when Superman died, I
We're
followed
moving
that story
into
arc.
Comic Vine territory. This would be a great crossover discussion.
Yeah, which I'm sure we can have when Green Lantern comes out, and I sit there and talk about how stupid that whole character is. But whatever. I'm more looking forward to Green Hornet, so that's just me. Seth Rogen.
Yeah, Seth Rogen, and directed by Michel Gondry.
Yeah, that's I bet that movie is going to be.
Except they pushed it back.
They did because the studio hates it.
Oh yeah,
They
which is a good sign.
hate
That's
it.
such a good sign.
No, that's not. That's never a good sign because that winds up with like the Hitman kind of thing where they take the director out and they get somebody else in to re-edit it.
Well, that's what supposedly happened with G.I. Joe too. Like
happened
Steven
a few
Summers
times.
supposedly got axed like 3/4 of the way through,
Really?
and
Even though
they
he
got
did all the
replaced.
promos for it, he did all the.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they just did it silently. They like that. At least that was the rumor I kept reading on the internet, which could or could
I mean,
not be
it's
true,
like
but-
a World of Wild Things are situation too, where the studio hated
right.
it.
But at the same time, Where the Wild Things Are, I loved that movie to death. I loved what they did with it. I think Spike Jonze, kind of perfectly nailed something that I did not expect that movie to nail at all, which is this sort of the feeling of being
imagination in a dream world.
of just being like a pre-adolescent boy.
Yes.
Like
the
just
logic of a child.
the energy and the sort of like histrionics and the just like the pure unadulterated rage that can kind of come from being just an 8 or 9 year old kid. Yeah, it's like that was incredible. And
It all depends on the studio contract and
I mean, and Michel Gondry is perfectly capable of making terrible movies. I mean, I don't know if you saw Human Nature, but he can do bad. At the same time, he can do amazing. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, amazing. So
when he's not writing it, right?
exactly when he's not writing it, it can be something really special. So I'm hoping Green Hornet is just a hilarious mess that I will enjoy, but we'll see. I don't know. Norm, you watch anything this weekend?
No. Went to Maker Faire, so didn't get a chance
How was
to watch
Maker Faire?
It's pretty good. We'll probably talk about it on the Tested podcast.
That
The pimp.
dastardly little We don't allow promos on this. podcast.
Tested.com, twitter.com/Tested, Tested.com,
Tessicom.
Cut his mic.
Screencom.
Cut his mic.
Screencom.
Lopez,
Yes.
what were you doing this weekend other than watching Lost?
I was a busy little bee watching a lot of stuff on Netflix.
What'd you see?
Well, what? Norm looks like he
I
has something
remember
to
I
say.
did watch the movie. It was very late at night, but I'll go after you.
Oh, okay. Well, I finally saw, and I'm sort of embarrassed to say I have never seen it, but I finally saw Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh, okay.
Thing is that when it came out, I was in Japan. When it came out there, I was thwarted 3 different times in 3 different cities to see it. And so I just, I kind of had given up. The universe was telling me not to see it, but I finally did see it. And,
It's an
I don't
overrated
like it.
movie.
I think it is.
yeah.
The thing is that American audiences have simply never seen a Bollywood movie,
Yeah,
and so they
sure.
see this one, presented to
But
them.
that wasn't a
tailored for the
Bollywood
kids.
movie.
It was
But
not
it was,
a Bollywood
but it was the
movie at all.
closest. It was the
It was the
closest
closest they'd
approximation they
ever-
were going
And
to
it was
get.
Yeah,
beautifully
precisely.
shot. I mean, Danny Boyle knows how to shoot a
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. No, it was.
That was
you're
my
right.
least favorite Best Picture winner since Crash, and Crash is way worse.
I would take a million Slumdog Millionaires over Crash.
Oh, Crash is really bad. Trust me.
I didn't even hate Crash when I first watched it, but the second time I watched it, it was unfucking bearable.
Here's how Hollywood views
Especially in the
racism.
context of what it won against.
Yeah. I'm sorry. No, that was definitely one of those like really, like I don't know how that even happened. But I mean, Slumdog winning, it didn't defeat anything that felt like it should have won necessarily that I can recall, and it people just like Danny Boyle. They wanted to give him an Oscar.
Millions is better.
Millions was a better movie. I mean, I'd say most of Danny Boyle's movies were better. But Slumdog had a thing that the Academy really likes, which is sort of a rags to riches story that's highly stylized and very well acted and directed. Like the love story in that movie actually has some it's engaging.
And
like
the
it actually
the
is,
brother story.
the brother story.
I
Like
like
you
the brother
feel
story a
you
lot,
feel something for it, even if it's a lot of what's happening is kind of ridiculous and stupid. Like there's enough there that I could totally see why the Academy just went apeshit for it.
I thought the dance sequence at the end kind of negated whatever positive I felt about the beginning of the movie. It felt very kind of condescending and like
we're doing this because we have to.
Here's an Indian movie. It's got to have a fucking dance scene. Woo woo woo.
Well, just speaking of that for a second, at the tail end of this week's top 10 at the box office was Kites, which is an Indian film,
remix.
produced film. Yeah, which is coming out in the U.S. under the moniker Brett Ratner Presents Kites, the remix.
Because all Bollywood films are like 3 hours long for the most part.
So this was
he needs to remix it?
It's cut down a little bit.
It was cut down from like 145 to like 99 or something.
But so that's the weird thing is that it was on 200 screens nationwide. Like it was a limited release, made $1 million, and had a $5,000 per screen average, which means that people actively went to seek that movie out. I didn't know a damn thing about it up until 2 weeks ago.
The Bollywood thing is coming on because My Name Is Khan made a couple $1 million early this year too. There's definitely a market.
There's an audience
for in the bigger cities. You put out a Bollywood film, and you're going to get the people who like that stuff to come out.
So I'm intrigued. I'm gonna at some point this week go see Kites because I just as a kind of just a social experiment. I just want to see where the hell this movie came from and what the draw for it is. So
You reminded me. You mentioned Slumdog Millionaire. The actress in there, she's in the new movie by Tarjum.
Oh, Oh, yeah.
It's Immortals. I think it's what it's called.
Is it also going to be a wanky pile of shit that is unwatchable?
I watched a couple of video interviews and previews, some first stills came out, and it is Clash of the Titans, but artsy.
But with the
No, it tells the story of Theseus who tries to take on the gods. I think.
Yeah.
There's some stills and some set things on the internet. But
You didn't like The Fall?
No, I didn't. I did not like The Fall. And the thing I'll say about The Fall is that I tried so hard to like it. There were things in that movie visually that absolutely I just jaw open, just going wow.
But they did it for the sake of the visuals.
Yeah, it's
not
for
the story.
He is a visual artist. He is not a director. He is not a writer.
Cell, right?
He did
The Cell, which
yeah.
is a movie that I at the time I saw it did not hate as much as a lot of people did. I read some reviews that called that thing one of the just worst fucking masturbatory pieces of shit of all time, and I was like, no, it's not. There's something to this. But going back now, it's impossible to watch that movie. Just all the little visual tricks and stuff. It's just a fucking mess.
Both of those movies tried to be drama. It's a psychological drama, and this one I think is supposed to be more of a straight up action movie. He described it as Old Boy meets.
Okay, I'm on board so far.
Exactly. So Old Boy meets Caravaggio, the artist.
I don't see what Old Boy has to do with Theseus.
Yeah,
so much.
Well, in terms of the way he shot the action,
so sideways and in one long continuous take?
Long takes.
Yeah.
Long takes, stylized long takes. So from a technical standpoint, I'm very interested.
Yeah, I'll get third time's the charm, I guess. I'll hope that this time, something watchable comes out of his.
He just seems like the kind of guy who should be paid a lot of money to make music videos, and that should be his artistic.
No,
medium.
he should be an artistic director.
Yeah,
he should work on the visual production design of movies. He should not be a director. He should not be writing stuff. He should not be doing anything that actually involves him telling a story because he doesn't know how. He just does not know how.
But he's got one name, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that doesn't really work. It's. I mean, if you just want to add another layer of the pretension on top of that, there you go. So,
I do. I really do.
All right. So, Tarzan.
I did watch a movie.
Movies.
I remembered. I watched the Netflix Confessions of a Superhero documentary.
What is that?
Oh, is that about the people outside the Man Theater?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about the guys, the people who sit outside the Man Theaters and they take photos with tourists and they get tips. And
$5.
The lead in it is the guy who he's famous for kind of looking like Chris Reeves and famous for being one of these. They're not really panhandlers because they request tips, but
right.
It's just how these people, what drives them to do that job, and where they came from and how it affects their lives and their little community.
Is it interesting? Is it actually interesting?
Oh yeah.
Because the thing about documentaries like that, it always seems like a really nifty subject matter, but sometimes those people just aren't.
Yeah,
they're just a bottle. They're just a bottle of quirk. There's no real actual psychology to any of them that makes it interesting
they
to watch.
all were so troubled.
Okay,
the guy who was Batman, because they all.
Well, of course, the guy who's Batman is fucked up. I mean, that's par for the course.
The guy who's Batman kind of looks like George Clooney. They're all they want to be actors, right? 'Cause they're in L.A. And he kind of looks like George Clooney, but he also has huge anger issues.
Yeah.
And so he's Batman. And then the girl who's Wonder Woman, who I've actually seen at WonderCon and Comic-Con. She used to be a beauty queen in the Midwest, and then has serious father and relationship issues. And she's Wonder Woman. But the Superman guy is obsessed. His mom used to be she was an actress in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Oh, okay.
And he grew up wanting to be an actor, and he kind of looked like Chris Reeves, but he's just this gangly guy, and he's obsessed with Superman. Super, super obsessed.
Interesting.
His little hovel on the side of Figueroa shopping.
Yeah, he makes dioramas, and he travels to Metropolis, Illinois, and they just chronicle his journey and his psychology, and it's crazy. And
therein lies the magic of the Netflix Instant Queue, because that is not a movie. Even if that movie did come out in theaters, that is not a movie anyone's gonna find.
I found a good thing. Speaking of documentaries, I watched. I think it's called A State of Mind. This last week. It's quite a timely thing. I happened upon it. It's all about North Korea and the preparations for the mass games that they do there. And so it follows these two girls who are gymnasts that take part in that. And really, with what's been going on recently, with the North Korea torpedoing the South Korean ship.
Yeah,
it was a good time to watch that and just kind of better understand what is happening up there and really what is the state of mind of the citizens.
And that came out pretty recently, right?
I think it was a couple years ago.
Okay, because there's also this is not so much on the Netflix or anything, but you can find it on their website. Vice, which is a magazine that I've sort of given up on over the years, still does some really interesting stuff video wise on their website. That's sort of immersionist journalism type thing where they just go and do dumb shit and just chronicle the whole thing. And one of them was this 13-part series or something where they basically smuggled themselves into North Korea as a tourist.
Shit.
And so the only way you can get into North Korea as a tourist, if you're American or any kind of Westerner, is through the region of China that borders North Korea.
Yeah.
All the government ministers there or whatever are super corrupt. So if you just pay them off, they'll get you tourist visas to North Korea, and they just show up at your hotel room at 5 a.m. It's okay, we're getting on the plane right now. Go, go, go. And they bring you to this. I mean, I won't tell you the whole thing. You should really go to the Vice website and look it up, but. Just a couple of things that came out of that, they were taken to this hotel that is this big, grand, massive hotel, in Pyongyang, and there's no one there.
Yeah.
It's like they are like it's them, their crew, and there's no one else in this hotel. They take them to the like banquet hall of the hotel room of the hotel for dinner, and they're the like every place is set, with food and with everything. They are the only ones in the room. Like like 200 people could be sitting in this room, and they are the only ones there eating this sort of like cold, awful, like meat-like substance stuff that's just terrible. And then at the end, they go to those games. Like they actually get to go, and the whole time you just see like they keep cutting back to the guy's face where he's just this like look of like disturbed awe at like what is going on there, because it literally is. It's just like this big like flashy dance mime show. That's what it is. It's like hundreds of thousands of people trained for years to do this. And all they do is like flip up cards in unison, and then there's dancing, and it's like the Olympic opening ceremony on like a ton of PCP.
Definitely,
that's crazy.
It's definitely one of my dreams to go to a mass game.
Yeah. So, but you have to go to North Korea to do it. So that's sort of the downside of
that
the whole
is,
thing.
Really.
I would recommend checking that out sometime.
One of my roommates, his girlfriend was a Japanese journalist who would head into North Korea, and I think she went to that hotel and was telling us about how like there's like it is literally paved with jewels.
Yeah.
The entranceway, but nobody's there. Yeah. And then people are spying on you while you're staying in your room.
Yep. And it's like there's like all this sort of like very specific manufactured opulence that they take you around to see. It's like, look at how awesome we are. And then anytime like you start to see the parts that aren't so awesome, they like whisk you away from there as quickly as humanly possible.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Thus ends our section on North Korea.
Okay, fine.
It's a fascinating topic, and it's relevant, damn it. Well, what would you like to talk about, Mr. Matthew Rory?
Oh, we've talked about everything today, I think it feels like.
Yeah. Should we maybe answer a few email questions?
We do have a few email questions if we want to talk about them.
We are going to start answering your emails here on the behind the screen door. You can send in your questions to Screencast, SCREENCAST, at screened.com. And feel free to just shoot us a note, and with any questions you want answered on the air. Mr. Rory, what do you got for us?
We'll take 3 of them today.
Take 3 questions. We'll do a little more next time.
We'll do 3 today.
All right.
Let's see now. What is your go-to spot? This is from Nat Crouch, which sounds like an ominous, I don't even know what to say.
Eric Crouch?
No, Nat Crouch.
Okay.
Nat Crouch, Aztec Omar. What is your go-to spot in the theater? Do you prefer to sit up the front or back? I have always been a second row kind of guy.
Yeah, I've heard that about you.
Second row in the because theaters there's like a
section second row, the second row,
like the front section, second row.
What the hell is wrong with you?
But assuming the middle, right? Still.
Yeah, in the middle. Yeah, it depends on the theater layout. If you're the smaller theaters, it's not so bad to be in the second row. The bigger, you can't do second row in IMAX.
No, God no.
You would die.
I'm actually second row from the back.
I actually had a weird experience at a small theater that I used to go to in college, where I sat in the front row, middle seat, million seats, empty all around me. Some little art house flick. Some guy gets up in the front, comes over, sits down right next to me, like shoulder to shoulder, and I was like, "What the." I got up and left. I got up and moved, obviously, because who the fuck does that?
Not
Bullshit.
comfortable at all.
But no, it depends on comfort. Nowadays, I have moved a little bit back, but nowadays you get a lot more people texting.
Yeah,
and when I see screens come up, it kills the movie.
It just totally takes you out of it.
I don't like seeing other people when I'm in a movie theater. I really don't. So I try to get up as far up as I can for comfort.
I'm very much a back of the theater kind of guy. I don't know. I just like I like to be able to just sort of sit straight forward and look at the picture, and I'm not as easily distracted as you. Clearly, I mean, whatever. Every time you see a dog, it's like you are Doug from Up. You are the talking dog from Up.
I do that in movies too.
It's basically
shows up.
Instead of squirrel, it's like
puppy. It's a puppy.
And one day there will be a video montage of you doing that. But yeah, I like to sit in the back. I like to sit as far back as humanly possible. It drives everyone I hang out with crazy because they always like, we'll sit in the middle. I was like, no, fuck you. I want second to last row. I want to sit back here. I want to be away from these people.
Yeah, the benefit to the back row is that people who talk are talking away from you. So
exactly.
If you have people
talking behind you,
if somebody's talking loud enough, you're going to hear them no matter what. But for most people who do talk in theaters, kind of get whispery with their. But the problem, I had a paperman. This one guy behind me. He didn't do a laugh. He just did a. Tss, tss, tss. Oh, it killed me.
Yeah, that sort of hissy like.
And it's that one sibilance that you can always hear like from far away.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I would prefer it if no one ever did that.
Any other opinions on theater seating?
more of a strategy of when you're going in. You just always got to go to the opposite aisle. If you go in, everyone's going the left way. You got to go the right way. Just
I see.
It fills out better that way.
Sure.
And I do more IMAX now. And IMAX, you got to do like.
I don't do IMAX. I make it a point. I'll go to 3D if the movie's coming out in 3D, just so I can say I saw it the way they apparently intended. But like I legitimately do not enjoy seeing movies in IMAX,
even when they're filmed in IMAX.
Yeah, it's just too much.
They're sometimes so loud that it gets oppressively.
It's super overbearing.
Yeah, it's like having that 6-year-old World War II.
It is a different experience. It is.
Let me put it this way.
For the scenes of the Dark
But
Knight,
not necessarily a better one.
Actually, I was going to use the Dark Knight's experience. I saw Dark Knight twice. I saw it in IMAX,
yes,
and I saw it in a dinky little theater that was like, I don't know, maybe 100 people total, and small screen. I had an infinitely better time watching it on the smaller screen because like it's like I'm still got the surround sound, still big enough screen that it's an event. But the IMAX, it's like I felt like my senses were being assaulted.
Oh, I love that. I love the scenes where they do shoot in IMAX with Nolan slow pans where you get to wander, your eyes get to wander.
Yeah,
and you get to see things like in the very beginning scene when the Joker goons are sliding down the
ropes,
right, and you can just follow them and still see. It's like you're really looking into something. Like not the whole movie, not the action.
There is merit
works.
to it.
Yes.
There is merit to the technology. I just don't think it's been done in a way that I've enjoyed yet.
Fair enough.
Lopez.
Last word.
I like the theaters that have the metal railing in the center, where they're very steep seats, and so I try to get that front row with the railing. I put my feet up. Yeah, that was if I did not have that for this year's AMC Oscar showcase, I would have died.
That's fair.
The other question we have to address sometime is whether you get there 10 minutes before the movie starts or after the trailers end and right as the movie started, because there are benefits to each. But we'll address that some other time.
Sure.
All right. What are your opinions on 3D? Do you think it is? This is from Marley Silverbrand.
Marley Silverbrand.
That's not a pirate name.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on 3D? Do you think it is a gimmick or something completely awesome that is good for the film industry? I think that no matter what you think about it, it's not going away anytime soon. They've done so much theater conversions. I like it when I see it. I don't want to pay an extra. The problem with me is I wear glasses. I don't have contacts.
Yeah.
Fitting on the 3D glasses on top of the glasses is annoying, and sometimes it gets so hot that I get fogged up.
Yeah.
But whether you like it or not, it's not going anywhere.
It's such a gimmick. It's so rarely used to an effect that like How Do You Train Your Dragon is a movie that actually used 3D fairly well.
Sure.
Avatar is the obvious case for 3D. I mean, as much as I don't think we've actually even really talked about this yet on the podcast. I'm just going to come out and say my opinion on Avatar. I did not like it. I did not enjoy that movie.
I do not like Avatar.
I did not enjoy that film as a story or with characters or anything that happened in it. But man, it did look real nice, and the 3D actually worked in a way that that actually gave felt like a unique experience.
Sure.
At the same time, all this 3D up converting bullshit they're doing now, like with Alice in Wonderland
Battle Royale 3D.
Yeah,
okay.
Casanova.
There's two. They do it, even within the upconverting. There's movies where they know beforehand.
Yeah,
they're gonna do it with Alice
that's
in Wonderland,
one thing
where they plan for those shots.
Yeah,
and then there's Clash of the Titans where they say we should have it in 3D.
Clash of the Titans looks so fucking awful in 3D. Like it's. There are two shots in that entire movie that actually the 3D actually kind of looks like 3D, and then of course those are the most special effects heavy shots.
Yeah, because that's why CGI Pixar type movies are easy to do, because you just render the frame again a little off to the side. As far as I know, Norman.
Well, no, it's not rendered just up the side. They shift the side and then they adjust the angle.
Yeah, also. So it's actually feels like it's actual 3D.
But with 3D, there is an optimal point. Like from the side of the theater, it's not going to look the same as from the theater.
Yeah.
So that's.
And Alice in Wonderland was the same way. And actually, there's a funny comment on my review of Alice in Wonderland, which I hate for a multitude of reasons. Not the least of which was the 3D, where I said the 3D looked kind of hacky and just didn't really it didn't do anything for the film. Someone who apparently was from the 3D upconversion house that did that movie commented and was like, "Oh, sorry to hear you didn't like it," and gave this really detailed explanation of why it sucked. And
Put me in contact with him. I'd like to have a discussion with him.
Yeah, I would love to read an in-depth piece from someone who works on this shit and just see what they really think.
And yet, another piece of news that I was surprised by this week is that Alice in Wonderland is going to be the 6th or 5th movie to ever make $1 billion worldwide.
Yeah.
It is apparently massively popular.
It is still
It's a Disney movie. It's a Tim Burton movie. It's
but Tim Burton has never been a financially
in the last few years.
blockbuster.
His movies have made money.
Sweeney Todd, really?
Not Sweeney Todd,
not
but
Sweeney
like
Todd,
Charlie
not
and the Chocolate
Big-
Factory made money.
Not Big Fish, not...
Look, his more family oriented general fare has definitely done better.
Well,
And
he's got Johnny Depp all the time too, which is kind of.
He's got Johnny Depp. He's got Disney behind him. It's a beloved tale. You know, they're calling it Alice in Wonderland, even though it's a sequel or whatever. It's Alice in Underland, which is the fucking dumbest thing. And that movie pissed me off in a way that I was not expecting. But,
All right, so last question.
all right,
Let's hit the last
so
question.
we hate 3D. Let's just throw it out.
I don't
there.
mind it.
Coraline was good.
I do not mind 3D.
I hate it.
Hi, I think you'll have an opinion on this, Alex. This
All right.
is David Crooks. Ooh, David Crooks from Montreal. I like
That's not how people from Montreal talk at all. Can we at least get a little bit of like a Francophile thing going?
Montreal.
That's not
Canada. David says, "Hi, I'm currently 23, and so far I've managed to avoid watching any movies starring Clint Eastwood because he's Canadian. I was wondering if you could offer any recommendations on movies to pick up to fill that void. Thanks. I would not recommend starting with Unforgiven.
No.
It's too much of an apex there.
You should see it.
You definitely. That's one of his best films.
Here's the
honestly.
arc I'm going to present for him. If you're going to watch one of his westerns, I say you start with The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
A bit lengthy.
It is lengthy, but at the same time, like I think it's one of his best examples of that character and like what he did in that era. And it's like, you know, like you talked about with Fistful of Dollars, like that movie is good, but it's like his best days of westerns were ahead of him. And I think that's
Leone too.
I think that's as good a starting point as any if you're gonna you know watch one of those movies. I think you have to see Dirty Harry. I think it's
iconic.
That's absolutely iconic.
Don't bother with the rest of those. Don't watch the series though before.
The other ones definitely lose a lot of their luster, but I think there's something to be said for.
Which one was when he teamed up with Cagney and Lacey? What was that? Which one was that one?
Oh God!
And it was like the stereotypical. I don't work with women cops.
Yeah, I have a very fuzzy memory of that stuff. But
okay, so Dirty Harry, Dirty Harry, Ugly.
I think around that time is when maybe you start thinking about watching Unforgiven.
Yes, one of the all-time best westerns. I'll go and say.
I'm gonna throw in a deep cut here. I'm gonna say In the Line of Fire.
No, I was actually going to bring that up too.
I think that is an absolutely tremendous.
He didn't
Eastwood
direct
film.
that, did he?
No, he didn't.
So yeah, he's there. Eastwood has movies that he stars in and directs, and movies that he just stars in. Not so much of the former anymore. Not even so much of he doesn't really act that much anymore.
No, Gran Torino is an interesting, like sort of wild card piece if you want to throw it in there. Like he's amazing in it.
Yeah.
The acting from everyone else is more or less awful, but like he gives like a really incredible performance in that movie, and I would actually recommend seeing it at some point. But
and after you get through, Unforgiven is one that he directed as well, and then you can go on to stuff like not Flags of the Fathers, but Letters from Iwo Jima.
Letters from Iwo Jima is incredible,
an amazing cinematic directorial. I think it was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, that one is definitely if you're not going to watch both, because I mean they are companion pieces to each other. Right? Like Iwo Jima is the better of the two by far.
It's just bizarre to see him in Dirty Harry and Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and think this guy is going to become one of our most prolific and amazing directors.
I know I'm probably forgetting a couple, but I think there's like a primer, and just like kind of getting into it. Like that's a really good list of movies to check out. So I would say get on it, brother.
Yeah, Mystic River.
No, Mystic River it's stylistically.
So yeah, he directed that one. I forgot about that. But Mystic River, Mystic River is my bigger issue is with Dennis Lehane. I don't like anything Dennis Lehane for the most part.
I like Gone Baby Gone quite a bit.
That movie had a titular line, for fuck's sake. There's that part where that dude actually says, "I hope you good, man, because if not, you gone. She's gone, baby."
Is that how you disqualify movies?
Yeah,
I'm never gonna see Shrek Forever After.
No, it's like I'm sorry. Like sometimes I have bigger issues with that movie. Yeah. I think Casey Affleck was very good in it, and I actually think it was reasonably well directed. But there's just so much.
Clint Eastwood joint.
There's so much just condescending Bostonian cheese in everything that Dennis Lehane does.
Having never been to Boston, I don't really mind that stuff.
It's also caked in so much like shitty melodrama. Like Mystic River is just endless.
Mystic River was definitely
endless melodrama, and it made me like I just cringed every time Sean Penn was on screen.
Yeah, that was pretty. In retrospect, it was a bad Best Picture nominee.
Gone Baby Gone.
$1 Million Baby.
$1 Million Baby. Yeah, actually, yeah. You know what? I would put that as like a before Gran Torino,
yeah.
but after the rest of the stuff.
In the end, it's probably going to be his like icon. Well, after Unforgiven, it'll probably be his iconic starring, directing / whatever. So that's all the questions I got. I think there's some good ones. And again, Screencast is it
Screencast. Screencast. Because for some reason we couldn't just say podcast, but screencast@screened.com. Send us your emails. We will read them on the air, and maybe we'll answer your questions. I don't know. I mean, we might just read them on the air and say, "Hey, you're stupid." Nah, you don't know.
Canada.
We're jerks. Norman Chan, thanks for coming.
Glad to be here. It's fun.
We were told you were a gigantic lost dork.
Yeah.
A losty, if you will.
I like Lost. I like movies. I like TV.
It was very nice to have you. I guess we'll have to do it again sometime. I'm appreciative of your perspective and your commentary, and I look forward to finding out how that nuclear bomb test goes.
It's time travel.
Get your maker bot to make one.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes. Lopez.
Yeah.
Get back to work.
Yes, sir.
Rory. Pleasure as always. Thank you for culling together emails.
Thank you very much. Hopefully, I talked okay this time.
I think you did good.
We'll
I think next week, if we get bad feedback, next week I'm going to set up like one of those devices like from the beginning of Ghostbusters, where I just deliver electric shocks whenever you start to move away from the mic. Once again, thank you all for listening, and we'll be back next week with more podcasty goodness. Take it easy.